Well, hello, Northwest. Here we are on Thursday, and slightly different locale to read some more of Sea of Monsters, Percy Jackson. We are actually on page 196 of a book that is 279 pages. So we have made excellent progress. Um, and I hope everybody is doing well. As always, I hope that you are getting outside, practicing social distancing, but that you guys are getting outside and you are walking around and you're exercising and you're eating right. And if you're having any issues with the internet, if you're having any issues with food or anything like that, please reach out to us. We want to make sure that you guys are doing well, and pretty soon we're all going to get through this very strange situation we're in right now. So as you'll recall yesterday, we had been traveling on the Queen Anne's Revenge, and Annabeth wanted to hear the sirens because it was said that the sirens will tell you things about yourself that you're afraid to face. And in doing so, somehow Annabeth swam towards the island of the sirens, and Percy realized this and went after her and saw a vision that Annabeth was having of basically being in a picnic at Central Park with her father and with Athena, her mother. So here we go. Behind the trees of Central Park, a city skyline rose. I caught my breath because it was Manhattan, but not Manhattan. It had been totally rebuilt from dazzling white marble, bigger and grander than ever, with golden windows and rooftop gardens. It was better than New York, better than Mount Olympus. I knew immediately that Annabeth had designed it all. She was the architect for a whole new world. She had reunited her parents. She had saved Luke. She had done everything she wanted. I blinked hard. When I opened my eyes, all I saw were the sirens, ragged vultures with human faces ready to feed on another victim. I pulled Annabeth back into the surf. I couldn't hear her, but I could tell she was screaming. She kicked me in the face, but I held on. I willed the currents to carry us into the bay. Annabeth pummeled and kicked me, making it hard to concentrate. She thrashed so much we almost collided with a floating mine. I didn't know what to do. I'd never get back to the ship alive if she kept fighting. We went under and Annabeth stopped struggling. Her expression became confused. Then our heads broke the surface and she started to fight again. The water! Sound didn't travel well underwater. If I could submerge her long enough, I could break the spell of the music. Of course, Annabeth wouldn't be able to breathe at the moment, but that seemed like a minor problem. I grabbed her around the waist and ordered the waves to push us down. We shot into the depths, 10 feet, 20 feet. I knew I had to be careful because I could withstand a lot more pressure than Annabeth. She fought and struggled for breath as bubbles rose around us. Bubbles! I was desperate. I had to keep Annabeth alive. I imagined all the bubbles in the sea, always churning, rising. I imagined them coming towards, being pulled towards me. The sea obeyed. There was a flurry of white, a tickling sensation all around me, and when my vision cleared, Annabeth and I had a huge bubble of air around us, only our legs stuck in the water. She gasped and coughed. Her whole body shuddered, but when she looked at me, I knew the spell had been broken. She started to sob. I mean horrible, heartbreaking sobbing. She put her head on my shoulder and I held her. Fish gathered to look at us. A school of barracudas, some curious marlins. Scram, I told them. They swam off, but I could tell they went reluctantly. I swear I understood their intentions. They were about to start rumors flying around the sea about the son of Poseidon and some girl at the bottom of Siren Bay. I'll get us back to the ship, I told her. It's okay. Just hang on. Annabeth nodded to let me know she was better now. Then she murmured something. I couldn't hear because of the wax in my ears. I made the current steer our weird little air submarine through the rocks and barbed wire and back towards the hull of the Queen Anne's Revenge, which was maintaining a slow and steady course away from the island. We stayed underwater following the ships until I judged we had moved out of earshot of the sirens. Then I surfaced and our air bubble popped. I ordered a rope ladder to drop over the side of the ship and we climbed aboard. I kept my earplugs in, just to be sure. We sailed until the island was completely out of sight. Annabeth sat huddled on a blanket at the forward deck. Finally she looked up, dazed and sad, and mouthed, "Safe." I took out the earplugs. No singing. The afternoon was quiet except for the sound of the waves against the hull. The fog had burned away to a blue sky as if the island of the sirens had never existed. You okay? I asked. The moment I said it, I realized how lame that sounded. Of course she wasn't okay. I didn't realize, she murmured. What? How powerful the temptation would be. I didn't want to admit that I'd seen what the sirens had promised her. I felt like a trespasser, but I figured I owed it to Annabeth. I saw the way you rebuilt Manhattan, I told her. And Luke and your parents? She blushed. You saw that? What Luke told you back on the Princess Andromeda about starting the world from scratch. That really got to you, huh? She pulled her blanket around her. My fatal flaw. That's what the siren showed me. My fatal flaw is hubris. I blinked. The brown stuff they spread on veggie sandwiches? No, seaweed brain. That's hummus. Hubris is worse. What could be worse than hummus? Hubris means deadly pride, Percy, thinking you can do things better than anyone else, even the gods. You feel that way? She looked down. Don't you ever feel like, what if the world really is messed up? What if we could do it all over again from scratch? No more war, nobody homeless, no more summer reading homework? I'm listening. I mean, the West represents a lot of the best things mankind ever did. That's why the fire is still burning. That's why Olympus is still around. But sometimes you just see the bad stuff, and you start thinking the way Luke does. If I could tear this all down, I would do it better. Don't you ever feel that way? Like you could do a better job if you ran the world? No, me running the world would be kind of a nightmare. Then you're lucky. Hubris isn't your fatal flaw. What is? I don't know, Percy, but every hero has one. If you don't find it and learn to control it, well, they don't call it fatal for nothing. I thought about that. It didn't exactly cheer me up. I also noticed Annabeth hadn't said much about the personal things she would change, like getting her parents back together or saving Luke. I understood. I didn't want to admit how many times I dreamed of getting my own parents back together again. I pictured my mom alone in our little apartment on the Upper East Side. I tried to remember the smell of her blue waffles in the kitchen. It seemed so far away. So was it worth it? I asked Annabeth. Do you feel wiser? She gazed into the distance. I'm not sure, but we have to save the camp. If we don't stop Luke, she didn't need to finish. If Luke's way of thinking could even tempt Annabeth, there was no telling how many other half-bloods might join him. I thought about my dream of the girl and the golden sarcophagus. I wasn't sure what it meant, but I got the feeling I was missing something. Something terrible that Kronos was planning. What had the girl seen when she opened that coffin lid? Suddenly Annabeth's eyes widened. Percy! I turned. Up ahead was another blotch of land, a saddle-shaped island with forested hills and white beaches and green meadows, just like I'd seen in my dreams. My nautical senses confirmed it. 30 degrees, 3 I minutes north, 75 degrees, I 2 minutes west. We had reached the home of the Cyclops. Chapter 14. We meet the sheep of doom. When you think Monster Island, you think craggy rocks and bones scattered on the beach like the island of the sirens. The Cyclops' island was nothing like that. I mean, okay, it had a rope bridge across a chasm, which was not a good sign. You might as well put up a billboard that said, "Something evil lives here." But except for that, the place looked like a Caribbean postcard. It had green fields and tropical fruit trees and white beaches. As we sailed towards the shore, Annabeth breathed in the sweet air. "The fleece," she said. I nodded. I couldn't see the fleece yet, but I could feel its power. I could believe it would heal anything, even Thalia's poison tree. If we take it away, will the island die? Annabeth shook her head. It'll fade. Go back to what it would be normally, whatever that is. I felt a little guilty about ruining this paradise, but I reminded myself we had no choice. Camp Half-Blood was in trouble, and Tyson would still be with us if it wasn't for this quest. In the meadow at the base of the ravine, several dozen sheep were milling around. It looked peaceful enough, but they were huge, the size of hippos. Just past them was a path that led up into the hills. At the top of the path, near the edge of the canyon, was the massive oak tree I'd seen in my dreams. Something gold glittered in its branches. This is too easy, I said. We could just hike up there and take it? Annabeth's eyes narrowed. There's supposed to be a guardian, a dragon, or... That's when a deer emerged from the bushes. It trotted into the meadow, probably looking for grass to eat. when the sheep all bleated at once and rushed the animal. It happened so fast that the deer stumbled and was lost in a sea of wool and trampling hooves. Grass and tufts of fur flew into the air. A second later, the sheep all moved away, back to their regular peaceful wanderings. Where the deer had been was a pair of clean, white bones. Annabeth and I exchanged looks. "They're like piranha," she said. "Piranhas with wool. How will we—" "Percy, look!" She pointed down the beach to just below the sheep meadow, where a small boat had been run aground. The other lifeboat from the CSS Birmingham. We decided there was no way we could get past the man-eating sheep. Annabeth wanted to sneak up the path invisibly and grab the fleece, but in the end I convinced her that something would go wrong. The sheep would smell her, another guardian would appear, something. And if that happened, I'd be too far away to help. Besides, our first job was to find Grover and whoever had come across in that lifeboat, assuming they'd gotten past the sheep. I was too nervous to say what I was secretly hoping, that Tyson might still be alive. We moored the Queen Anne's Revenge on the backside of the island when the cliffs rose straight up a good 200 feet. I figured the ship was less likely to be seen there. The cliffs looked climbable, barely. About as difficult as a lava wall back at camp. At least it was free of sheep. I hoped that Polyphemus didn't also keep carnivorous mountain goats. We rowed a lifeboat to the edge of the rocks and made our way up, very slowly. Annabeth went first, because she was the better climber. We only came close to dying 6 or 7 times, which I thought was pretty good. Once I lost my grip and I found myself dangling by one hand from a ledge 50 feet above the rocky surf. But I found another handhold and kept climbing. A minute later, Annabeth hit a slippery patch of moss and her foot slipped. Fortunately, she found something else to put it against. Unfortunately, that something was my face. "Sorry," she murmured. "It's okay," I grunted, though I'd never really wanted to know what Annabeth's sneaker tasted like. Finally, when my fingers felt like molten lead and my arm muscles were shaking from exhaustion, we hauled ourselves over the top of the cliff and collapsed. "Oh," I said. "Ouch," moaned Annabeth. "Grrr," bellowed another voice. If I hadn't been so tired, I would have leapt another 200 feet. I whirled around, but I couldn't see who'd spoken. Annabeth clamped her hand over my mouth. She pointed. The ledge we were sitting on was narrower than I realized. It dropped off the opposite side, and that's where the voice was coming from, right below us. "You're a feisty one," the deep voice bellowed. "Challenge me," Clarissa's voice, no doubt about it. "Give me back my sword and I'll fight you," the monster roared with laughter. Annabeth and I crept to the edge. We were right above the entrance of the Cyclops' cave. Below us stood Polyphemus and Grover, still in his wedding dress. Clarisse was tied up, hanging upside down over a pot of boiling water. I was half hoping to see Tyson down there, too. Even if he'd been in danger, at least I would have known he was alive. But there was no sign of him. Polyphemus pondered. "Eat, loudmouth girl, now, or wait for wedding feast. What does my bride think?" He turned to Grover, who backed up and almost tripped over his completed bridal train. "Oh, I'm not hungry right now, dear. Perhaps—" "Did you say bride?" Clarisse demanded. "Who? Grover?" Next to me, Annabeth muttered. "Shut up. She has to shut up." Polyphemus Grover. "What Grover?" "The satyr," Clarisse yelled. "Oh," Grover yelled. "The poor thing's brain is boiling from that hot water. Pull her down, dear." Polyphemus's eyelids narrowed over his baleful, milky eye, as if he was trying to see Clarisse more clearly. The Cyclops was an even more horrible sight than he had been in my dreams, partly because his rancid smell was now up close and personal, partly because he was dressed in his wedding outfit, a crude kilt and shoulder wrap stitched together from baby blue tuxedos, as if he'd skinned an entire wedding party. "What satyr?" asked Polyphemus. "Satyrs are good eating. You bring me a satyr?" "No, you big idiot," bellowed Clarisse. "That satyr, Grover, the one in the wedding dress." I wanted to wring Clarissa's neck, but it was too late. All I could do was watch Polyphemus turn and rip off Grover's wedding veil, revealing his curly hair, his scruffy adolescent beard, his tiny horns. Polyphemus breathed heavily, trying to contain his anger. "I don't see very well," he growled. "Not since many years ago when the other hero stabbed me in the eye. But you're no Lady Cyclops." The Cyclops grabbed Grover's dress and tore it away. Underneath, the old Grover reappeared in his jeans and t-shirt. He yelped and ducked as the monster swiped over his head. "Stop," Grover pleaded. "Don't eat me raw. I have a good recipe." I reached for my sword, but Annabeth hissed. "Wait." Polyphemus was hesitating, a boulder in his hand, ready to smash his would-be bride. Recipe? He asked Grover. Oh, yes. You don't want to eat me raw. You'll get E. coli and botulism and all sorts of horrible things. I'll taste much better grilled over a slow fire. Mango chutney? You better go get some mangoes right down there in the woods. I'll just wait here. And that's all for today. Tomorrow we're going to finish up the chapter, and I hope everybody is well. Remember, spring break starts tomorrow, but we will be back tomorrow at noon. Take care and goodbye.